or afternoon. And once again, my name is Rob Anderson with the Diné Nation, with um, San Diego American Indian Health today, and we are going to discuss some topics. But first, we're running a little bit of medicine to kind of get our mind set. So, um, we we wanted to make sure we fill out a survey at the end. We'll remind you guys of that. So, with that, we just wanted to start it off with your thoughts.
Okay, so greetings again, family and relations. My name's Marge Anderson, and I'm here to share with you. Rob did a little announcement yesterday evening um, to talk about or introduce our topic today, sensitive topic on trauma. Um, and how we're going to do this, I think it would be nice to hear from you. There'll be an opportunity to give you 3 minutes to um, maybe shoot some questions at us. We have some extra help this evening with Ivan here helping to coach us. So we're grateful to have Ivan here. And yeah, that's kind of like what we're going to do with this. What we're going to do is provide some educational value, but also give you the opportunity to um, ask some questions, perhaps chime in electronically and see if we can maybe help you with your thoughts or questions. Um, we want to allow Rob to talk about the medicinal part of this smudging um, before we go into this topic. So I'll turn it over to you, and you can share a little bit about how
Okay.
this smudging can help us with this topic.
Thank you. Again, as I address this day, we're going to share a little bit about this topic. And as Native people, we always had a opening prayer in everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, such as what we just did, we kind of get our minds set to do the best of our ability to share some spiritual solutions. And yeah, if you at this time have your own medicine too, you can utilize that. And as we use the medicine of the people, we call it, and we do have opening ceremonies. Everything starts with a prayer, just like maybe this morning you said your morning sunrise prayers, and you want to go about your day. And here we are through our midday, and then here we are into the afternoon, and then we'll have the nightlife. So as prayers were taught to us on a time frame basis, so morning, noon, sun's in midday and evening, and the night, as all the spirits of the natural laws, such as the four-legged animals, they all have nightlife, and the crickets come out, and all these spiritual natural laws that have been here long before time that help us get in touch with our daily whatever we're going through, emotional insecurities. And so using a sage is always whatever your people's ways are. You can always light up to open up with prayer, and prepare for whatever you're going to pray for. So pray for well-being for today, prayer for my thoughts, prayer for just maybe have a good day, or pray for strength, pray for just having good consciousness, and and some of those things. So that's kind of what this opening of the smudging is based on too. So I'll pass it back over to Margie.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for the help and education on supporting the community with this I think it would be a good time to maybe offer a little prayer so we can focus on this topic because this topic is a sensitive topic. And part of this is being present so we can maybe learn something today on it. So you can offer that prayer for us.
Oh, you want me to do opening
yeah,
prayer?
just
Okay.
just yet.
Okay, as I lit some medicine, sparkling. Okay. Let's take that moment of silence. First, we'll pray in a sense of the language that I usually pray with. Hello, Sazanahasli ko Tishjin Yindahalore Koloshin Sazanahasli Shinseke Shitishi Ina Atlai Nado Tles ko Tishjin Shitwin Lonosh Kidin Eo Tishjina Nashtafo. So I just kind of open up in a simple way to honor the great spirit, God, creator of your understanding, to be with me today upon my day and my mind, my body, and my spirit. And usually we can add the four directions, you can add the spirit of just your spiritual guidance of what brings upon calmness to generate or give you some motivation to go forward with your day. So I say amen.
Oh, so thanks, Rob. Thank you for the prayer. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask the question, what is trauma? And if you feel like you want to maybe provide a question to that Survey Monkey asking or telling us what your thoughts are and what you believe trauma is, you can do that. In the meantime, we'll read to you the definition of trauma. Trauma is a response to a deeply distressing or disturbing event that overwhelms a person's ability to cope, causes feelings of helplessness, reduces their sense of self-worth, and feeling many emotions and experiences. So a wide range of things can happen when someone's experiencing trauma. So there's different levels of trauma as well. And this would be a good time if you're engaged in the Facebook Live. We're here. We have some support here too. If you want to send us a question, you can do that at this time. We're going to keep moving forward with some of this information. Like I said, there's different types of trauma, and for us Native people, you can say that in our history, there's been a lot of trauma, and part of that is what's called as historical trauma. And I know for myself, when I was growing up, I had an experience a couple of times of not understanding how I was feeling. And I recall that when I learned about historical trauma, and it helped me to understand my bloodline and possibly what my ancestors went through, and realizing there is a healing component to this too as well, and that'll be something we'll definitely touch on and close out with. So you want to go ahead and take on the reading what it says historical trauma?
What is historical trauma is the question, and historical trauma is a collective experiences of traumatic events that affect a person and continues to affect each generation after that person. Historical trauma is a model developed by Maria Yellowhorse Braveheart in the mid-1980s. This native-centric model has become the primary approach towards understanding how colonialization has, in most cases, badly impacted native populations. But most importantly, it addresses ways to adopt healing that are healthy and that keep us. So I wanted to share something about historical trauma. Would be probably like I'll share a little experience of my mother that just I recently took her journey, and she grew up on the Navajo reservation, and she was we were ranchers. We took care of cattle, sheep, and all these livestock, and was kind of the biggest assets back in the olden days, I guess, before computers were around, and some of the things that she was told by her mother, that these boarding schools that were one of the issues that were being sent to, and our people were being told to cut their hair, and they were being treated in an unhealthy manner, and can't you talk your language, and so she didn't get to go to school. Her mother says, no, I think I ain't sending you to one of those schools, public school or boarding school, because it doesn't sound good. And so she never went to school. So she just knew our traditional ways. But at one point in time, she resented her mother for not letting her go to school, public school, and she didn't get to really learn English, but just what us siblings or children shared with her, and spoke English, and she'd say things like good morning and just simple stuff. It was one of our first languages she taught us that, those are some of the things she went through that she kind of wished she hadn't went to school, but due to the way the schools were back then, she didn't get to. So maybe her mother was smart to not let her go to those schools, but she lived a good life, and she taught all of us those traditional ways were the most important part of what she didn't experience, but she didn't get to go to these schools or learn an English language. So that's a little something that I think it was like in the old days, that we were passed those ways down, that those schools and the people there are not treating us well, and we went on to, and the ones who were in those schools that came back with that those alien spirits that bothered them, and I'm sure you've heard plenty of those stories. So that's a little example of where some of this historical trauma has developed and came upon our people. So that's what I wanted to share.
Good, nice share, and we're just going to keep the medicine going, and this is part of this discussion, is to realize our cultural values, and partaking in this discussion. As my grandma would say, this is ceremony too, when we have this medicine here, and we offer those prayers, and again, we're talking about something that probably affects most Native people, at some point in their lives, and these are the things that we can start having discussions about, not so much focus on the trauma of this, but the solutions and the resiliency and the healing of it. What does it, what would it look like for us to have a healing community? What we're doing here is providing the information, the education, to give it some thought, because sometimes we don't even know that we could be traumatizing someone else. So that's another thing too, is we identify our own behaviors, and that's part of wellness. That's something we do in wellness, is identify our behaviors um, and start focusing on what solutions or change or healthy change. Can we look at our culture too as part of the healing process? And we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end again. I believe we do have that Survey Monkey, so we want to try to get you motivated, if you will, to join us in that way. And if there's any questions out there, they'll be presented, so we can help you with that. The next part of this is to provide a little bit of education here on what is lateral trauma. So we just had a little information and education on the historical trauma. Lateral trauma, there's different levels of lateral trauma, which is basically lateral violence. So we want to kind of break these down for you. There are forms of eye rolling or name calling or teasing. And this is like maybe the first level of it, we'll say. The next level is more moderate form of violence, and what it looks like is practical jokes that result in injury or taunting. And then it goes to the most extreme forms of violence that result in bodily harm. Often it could include death or end of life. It could include violence such as hitting another person, punching, slapping, stabbing, shooting, and more. Lateral violence and bullying can start out fairly harmless, but over time, and specifically when not confronted or someone doesn't do anything about it, it can be very harmful and eventually result in serious injury and our end of life. So, and that's the educational part of what is lateral trauma. And again, we want to open it up if there's any questions out there or thoughts you want to share to engage.
So we have a comment here. Dalia Vallejo, she says, I'm very interested about Native American topics. I wrote a paper for my history class about the abuse from the government against Native Americans and also historical trauma.
Wow, so that was from Aaliyah?
Dalia.
Dalia, okay, sorry. Thanks for offering that, Dalia. We really appreciate your comment. And yeah, you can start by engaging myself here at the clinic, or we have some really good books in the library. We have information here to help support your thoughts and the education on it. Sometimes there's trainings that are available, and that's another thing that you can actually look at. SAMHSA is a good website. They have the tribal education part of it, which can offer some support too if you're looking for some quick information or videos. Hopefully that helps. Okay. There's a second portion to what is lateral trauma, and I'm gonna go ahead and offer you to go do that education part. Yeah, this one, I think, the next page. There you go.
Okay. Thanks again, Margie. What is lateral trauma? Continues to, with lateral violence, is also referred to as internalized colonialism. It is caused by a colonialization that it created a hierarchy fear-based powers and control techniques, such as warfare, genocide, death threats, the male gender, and the economic power. So, um, moving along to lateral violence begins as anger that is directed towards those who will not retaliate. Okay? In other words, we attack within our own group of oppressed people, or we attack another minority oppressed group. Anti-black racism example. Lateral violence works to sustain power in an oppressed group when someone is seen to threaten that power in some ways. So that sounds like when we were pretty much told to do things a certain way, and we weren't prepared, and then it maybe traumatized us and told us that, why can't I do it this way? And there's many parts about that we're affected because maybe we think that's not the way I was raised, or there's a reasoning for being bothered by that way or something like that, So it's about, we see that sometimes we have to take moments of silence or moments of what's behind all this, and what's my motive to be in this situation. And sometimes we have to regroup and see that we can be a part of our communities and society, and know that we're all equal and we all have those opportunities to be a part of it. Not let some of these things hold us back from going out there and being a part of society.
Good. Nice. Are we getting any more responses?
Not
Any
yet.
Questions? Okay.
So you can ask them, say,
Yeah.
you guys have any questions?
Yeah, that's what we want to do, is we want to ask and see if you have any questions on what you're hearing right now. If you have any thoughts as well, it's all supportive and beneficial. And the more, like where you are right now and participating, helps this community center, this San Diego American Indian Health Community Center, helps us to understand our community too, and their needs, your needs, really. So feel free to chime in. And as expressed earlier, part of this too is looking at the healing portion of this. Could be also described as the solution. A lot of times we'll hear like this, the healing solution is in our culture, some of these things that we can learn to do positive things versus negative things. What's that like? Positive is maybe giving yourself an affirmation. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like if you don't know what affirmations are. Affirmations could even be praying. Using this medicine helps us to calm ourselves down. If we engage in our artistic side, perhaps maybe it's beading, crafts. You can go out and pick some medicine, sage. What's it like for you to go out to the mountains and engage in Mother Earth and Father Sky, and feel that sun on your body, touch that plant, offer that prayer, tobacco, and do that gathering. What's it like for you? Do you feel a sense of calm? And the main goal would be to reduce and lower that blood pressure, and finding out that you're feeling a sense of calm. What's that like for you? The breathing's more regulated. You could even feel peaceful using meditations. We have someone commenting.
Yes, we have Yvette there. She says, a lot of times I do not realize my behavior is from the past trauma. Will you be giving more education in this area on Facebook?
Yeah, so, and this is what we need to hear. Thank you, Yvette.
Yes.
It's good for
to
you
hear
to
from
chime in and take part, be a part of. Yeah, and it's through these questions we'll want to give more education and support in that way. Maybe we'll have a community support group with this information. So we're providing a brief education on this so people can identify this and understand what it is that what is trauma. They're like it's part of this different levels. So yeah, having talking circle and feeling safe in talking circle and sharing something like on this topic is a powerful thing to provide that healing and understanding. The community support.
Okay, we have Bernice Pipa. She says, Hauka, it is good to see the circle coming out on FB. I'm just coming from ceremony. I feel very well and wanted to continue to feel well. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Bernice. Blessings to you, and thank you for being in ceremony. Thank you for your words. When we share that way too, that's that positive healing, and not being afraid to share that positive healing. It's a teaching. When you do that, I learn from you, so thank you. And we learn that way, and we share positive, and we share that way with our children. So you don't ever know who's watching us, and that's the whole beautiful thing about this is learning how to say positive affirmations to each other as Native peoples.
And this, thanks for your questions and your thoughts of, when a lot of these things are coming from our past experiences, and when we bring them out, we're letting it go. We're like taking the power out of it and turning it over to, the creator or whatever. Like as Bernice went to ceremony, and we always feel good after ceremony, and that's a big part of taking some of these traumas into ceremony and letting it go and giving it to the altar, or our traditional ways of healing. Back in the olden days, they would send you to a medicine man. You sit down with him, tell him a few words of why you're here and how would you want me to pray for you, and how would you want me to do ceremony for you. It was some of the old ways, as today is like having a counselor, a spiritual advisor, or just even a 12-step sponsor, and some of the spiritual connections with another person that you can let go and turn some of these emotional insecurities over, and you learn to practice it and let go of it and understand it, and you heal yourself, and you know what to do when it pops up again, because some of these alien spirits will always be with us. Some of us who went through so much trauma that it's there's so much, such as in the military, you name. So yeah, good. Thanks for that. And ceremony is important. So
a lot of this too is finding our own voice. That's important when we express, and finding healthy, safe persons to share, or maybe even in a group setting designed specifically for this topic. This is where we start with, and you asking or putting your input in helps us realize what we need to do to be of service to our community. Yeah. The next part of this I think we can move forward. Are there any more questions out there? Okay, good. Um, is looking at our strengths. It's called, what is a strength-based approach? And the focus is on this is to focus on a positive part of a person or a group's life, our lifestyle, our social aspects, rather than negative ones. So we'll take, for instance, the culture out here. I was raised here in this Kumeyaay Ipai Nation, and what I heard were the songs. What I saw were the gatherings, and so it's instilled in me. Like, I can hear those songs when I'm feeling maybe a little anxious or something. I go to that. It's with me. Even when I hear a drum, it's with me. That helps me live through that moment. We have a drum at home. Yes.
We have David Gloria. He says, I'm working on my inner struggle between my spirituality and organized religion. I want to forgive those religions that injured us. Any suggestions?
Yeah, suggestions are, first, we learn about the history of the real history of what took place. Part of this is that healing process, so sometimes it includes that ceremonies too, of your culture. Having your story, our personal stories are important. That's finding your voice from within and understanding. Rob shared at some point, there's certain letting go ceremonies too that can take place. Having somebody, like I said, in a safe environment to share how this is affecting you, that's really important. Rob talks about sharing, verbalize. My grandma said to spit that out, verbalize it, let it go, don't hold it in, because when we hold things in that maybe are scary or we're fearful of, that can cause other things inside of us to not function well, internalize aches and pains, can affect our internal organs. So part of this is learning how to find your voice. They say, spit it out. My grandma would say, like to cough it up, and it's not healthy. Don't keep that inside. Learn to know yourself, to allow yourself a healing experience. What would that look like? Could take many different forms. Another thing my grandmother really believed in is water ceremony, and going to a running river and offering those prayers and that medicine, and in that ceremony you're giving that to the water, because the water takes that and it heals us. It gives back to us. So hopefully we're answering your question, David. Thank you for sharing with us. But it is a process, healing. We're not a light switch, you can't turn us off and on like that. And it's about learning and educating yourselves too, all of us, to have a healthier life. If there's some unhealthy cycles, what would it be like to break those cycles?
David, it's good to hear from you. And sometimes some of these different organizations that that came after our teachings and our ways have caused us trauma and caused us to differentiate and be different about it. And again, it takes us back to always history. They've had all these religious teachings and missionaries and everyone that came after our ways. And there's a Red Road term of forgive the unforgiven, and there's this elder who started this Albrighty movement, and he shares a lot about that we can only forgive them, but because sometimes it's in our hearts it's unforgivable, and we see these, and when we go back to our own ceremony and what's working for us, to let it go and turn it over to the Creator God of your understanding, and you see that just doing something like that for another person makes you feel better about it. That I don't continue those teachings of the trauma that was done to the people, or today I'm turning around to forgive the unforgiven. And what would the Creator want me to do to be walking as a better man, and processing it through, and healing through it, and you'll feel that you're walking hand in hand with forgiveness of these ways, and yeah, it's a huge one. So good, thanks for chiming in and asking that one. There's a lot of that too.
Right, and moving forward, so we can't change what's happened in the past, and this is part of what we want to recognize too, is maybe there's something that will bring some peace and that healing process. Would it be taking a walk to the mountain, offering those prayers and the medicine, or would it be just sitting down and learning how to do a bead project? Would it be sewing? Sometimes we go to sewing. I know sewing has helped me a lot. It's in, my grandma said it carries in our bloodline. They ripped material and made dresses. I have that in my bloodline. I can sew. I had to tell myself I can sew. I can do this, and not be afraid to get on a sewing machine, tear that material, not worry about these things, because I have my own scotomas, my own blockage in there, and I think it comes from maybe my history, bloodline, my ancestors, what they went through. But I focus on what makes me well, and I know that once I got into sewing, I actually loved it. It's like I said, it's part of my life. And I find that I'm creative and I'm present, and I'm, I guess, feeling, I'm producing, I'm feeling happy with this. And what comes out is the beautiful art form, or the work that's completed. And these are done through prayers too. So I'm not just sewing, I'm praying and asking Creator to guide me through this. And that's kind of been my healing journey with this too. So everyone will experience something different. But it's about doing the next action part of it. What can I do to help myself with this? Another part of this, do we have any more thoughts or questions coming in? Okay. So we really want to thank all of you, and we want to touch on the topic of resilience. Want to go ahead and read on that one?
Okay, what is resilience? It's a question. Resilience is the process of adapting wellness in the face of adversity, trauma, or significant sources of stress. Being resilient does not mean that a person doesn't experience difficulty or distress. In fact, the road to resilience is likely to involve considerable emotional distress. It means bouncing back from difficult experiences.
So, what is the bounce back? What does it look like? And I was told that we can have an experience of trauma and actually really focus on that trauma. Part of this too is taking care of ourselves. So if we're absent from mind changers, which could be alcohol and drugs, we can actually realize how powerful we are as sacred people. You know, we have a brain that we can focus on making change, and that was kind of like my bounce back was to get into sewing and to maybe support my community, our Native women. Um, you know, ceremonies coming up, and I had some beautiful women engage me and ask about skirts, and I'm happy to do that. And when I'm doing these things, I'm not just focused on myself. I'm really focused on my community and connecting with and supporting our Native women. So that's that focus, you know, and that's my bounce back. So even if I experience a little something negative during that day, I find something that's going to be really supportive to me, and I'll use that, you know, use the medicine and use that positiveness, positive thinking, positive actions. That's what happens out of that, and then I'm more. I get a gift back is seeing the beauty of the women that are happy with their what was created for them, and giving back. So part of this is that generosity too, and sharing and gifting each other. Um, that could be something too, and bounce back could also look like engaging the community and a potluck, a community potluck. You know, getting together when things are well and safe, and having that. And like we mentioned earlier, ceremonies part of this as well. Where I'll go to ceremony, and we're all thinking alike. You know, it's spiritual and it's out of love.
Right.
So we want to open this up again for any comments, suggestions, even topics.
That you would like to hear.
Bernice Pipa says the sewing class will be awesome.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm glad that you're saying that. I will be happy to be part of that in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it's something we all get together as a community and have this for ourselves. You know, we can certainly use skirts and ribbon shirts and all kinds of wonderful crafts, ideas to sew and take part in. So that's a beautiful thought, yes. And how do we make that thought into a reality? Yeah. Thank you, Bernice.
And David said you did. Thank you for answering this question.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you, David.
Okay, Dave.
It's a really nice thing to do this on Facebook Live. So we want to. This is the real us, and this is the real you. And want to thank you for all your thoughts and participation. And I know we keep talking about this little survey that's there. You have something else?
Yvette Thayer said, thanks a lot of what you were speaking of is helping me. With the pandemic, I haven't been around family or friends. I've had this feeling of abandonment.
Yeah.
This is positive reinforcement of trauma and to stay in action and do something different. Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, we miss our families out there too, our extended families, our relations, and a lot of you have. We do have Talking Circle here, and it's developing. You know, it's been online for over a month now, and it's a place where you can share without judgment. You can experience a good evening with us. Tonight we'll be doing that at 7:00. And how do you get invited? Well, go to our website and San Diego American Indian Health.org and send us an email or give us a call. You know, we're here Monday through Friday. And or yeah, you can do that. Thanks, Ivan, and send us your information on the survey. You know, just
Mhm.
contact us through that survey, and we'll make sure you get added to the invites. And you can join us at Talking Circle. That's a wonderful way to connect with your community as well. hmm So,
Okay, is that a wrap?
are we ready?
Okay, with that, be well, be safe, and we're gonna read, thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live Talking Circle. Please click on the survey link in the comments section below and fill out the survey. We would like you to see your responses and keep in contact with you. So, yeah, send us some suggestions. We'll go forward.
Yeah, we'll
Other
get
than
back
that,
to you.
walk in beauty. I hope.
Thank you.